All right. We are live. This is Hang with Hank, and I have no idea what day it is anymore. I think it's Thursday, right, Rob?
Yeah, it's Thursday.
I heard a friend of mine took his wife's car into the dealership to get some work done for a scheduled appointment. They're like, "That's supposed to be Friday," and he's like, "Yeah, it is Friday." He's like, "No, it's Thursday."
I know I went into the dealership recently and they had no distancing stuff in place, no PPE, no guards up, nothing. The guy went to grab my hand and shake my hand. I was like, dude.
All right, folks. I know we don't have anybody live now. Some folks will join us, but for the recorded version, this is Hang with Hank. I'm Hank Hoffmeyer. Today I'm joined by Rob Ainbinder. He is with Why People Click, and he pretty much gets people to click on ads that you put out on the internet. So if you're looking for someone to help you with your advertising, definitely reach out to Rob. We'll have his banner up a couple times with his URL, but it's whypeopleclick.com. Rob, why don't you take a second and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you help?
Yeah, certainly. Well, first, it's great to be on your show with you live, Hank. This is one of the few I've gotten the opportunity to participate in, so I'm grateful for that. Why People Click was founded 7 years ago, and we help small to medium-sized businesses, so anywhere up to about $12 million in annual revenue is kind of the kind of client we typically work with. And we help with a combination of search engine optimization and paid digital ads. And we've been kind of in that space for a while. I was agency side for a while. I was brand side before that, made the transition, started my own firm. And we've been growing pretty well year over year. So I'm really happy for that, and really grateful to have the clients that we do. We form some really long-term relationships with those that we work with. And I really like that aspect of what I get to do and who I get to help.
And you and I met when I was a speaker at a conference. I think you actually had your hand in the selection a while back, and that was awesome. That was in Winston-Salem, and I love when things escape your mind. That was
Converge South.
Yes, it was a great conference, local to me, and actually I still stayed. What was the name of that hotel that you guys put people up in? The Gray something, I think, or
Grayson.
Yeah, the Grayson Hotel, which is like almost like a small version of the Biltmore in Nashville, North Carolina.
Yeah,
and, it was awesome. It's like an old historic, stone building, and it was so cool in the building because it was all stone. But it was great that you guys put us up there. Dinner beforehand, snacks and hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and the conference. And you and I kind of spoke over some drinks, and then we stayed in touch online, Facebook, and more recently met up at the Internet Summit Conference and shared sessions and notes.
Hey, great time at Internet Summit, reconnecting and learning all we could in those sessions for sure. And Converge South, longstanding conference that's taken a break recently, and it was long before kind of the current environment. We were kind of reevaluating its purpose, its intent, its audience, and even, unfortunately, its viability. And I don't know that we decided anything per se, but to kind of maybe reformulate it in the future. It served the community for a long time, and we really appreciate everybody that attended it and that was involved with it and volunteered and most importantly, presented, because without these presenters, it wouldn't have happened. And I'm really glad that you got the chance to present at one of the editions of Converge South. And, who knows what the future holds with that.
And I don't know if you remember Brandon Hatcher. He was another speaker. He was local. And since then, it's been a couple of years now, 2 or 3. He's actually moved on. It's been 3 years because he's moved on and went to New York City and is now working for VaynerMedia. And I stay in touch with him, which is quite awesome. I had a trip to New York last summer, and I gave him a ring or text actually, and we met up, spoke for a few minutes, and he gave me a tour of the Vayner offices, which was really cool.
That is really cool.
Successful, yeah.
Wow. So what's he doing for Vayner?
does a lot of work with, I guess, not an account manager, but like he does content creation for some of the Vayner, I guess it's called Vayner Talent, where they work with well-known celebrities, and he's working with a guy that's a pro game streamer right now, and he's doing a lot of content for that person.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he had a webinar the other day, and I was on it. It was about TikTok, and he was showing the person that he does the streaming for. It was on entrepreneur.com, so go check that out, folks, if you want to see that one. It's about TikTok, and Brandon's a nice guy. Rob's a great guy, and what we're here to talk about today is pay-per-click advertising. Should you be using pay-per-click advertising in a pandemic? And that was both the title of today's show, and then also a question to you, Rob. So how would you answer that?
Yeah, so I would answer emphatically, quite possibly, because we have to. So, pay-per-click has this great way to connect with somebody searching for a specific set of keywords that might be interested in the thing, or in the thing that you do, or the thing that you sell, and so. But what we have to do is really balance that against kind of the current environment. We don't want to be tone deaf. We're at a place where people are spending a lot of time at home. They're completing an enormous amount of work online, both for their personal life and for those that are still employed for their professional life or looking for jobs. And so we really want to be particularly careful with kind of the pay-per-click that we do. Things that are needed, things that are desired have more, probably have more success now. Obviously, what I've seen is this huge amount of exit of budget by some major brands that you'd expect in the travel space and so on. And even Google themselves have scaled back their marketing budget. This leaves a lot of attention open to be bought, and it leaves it at a bit of a discount than what it was just a few months ago. We're seeing kind of clicks, we're seeing budgets fall off, we're seeing inventory open up, and it really is an opportunity for those companies that are prepared to weather the storm and have something to offer of value to those that are in market right now. And that could be from hospitals to at-home things to do, to e-commerce things related to hobbies, particularly in the baking space. Oh my gosh. I read this statement done by King Arthur, and they have seen multiple 100% increase in e-commerce orders now because people want to nest, they want to bake, they feel drawn to kind of creating more of a home atmosphere, something that smells good, that tastes good, that reminds them of maybe a safer time even. And certainly in these instances, we see where pay-per-click can really move the needle. And of course, there's the old adage that if you pull out a market and your competitors pull out a market, who's going to be remembered when the dust settles on this storm? And certainly if you have the budget and the wherewithal to continue advertising, people are going to be more inclined to remember you and retain your company name if you advertise now when a lot of budgets have faded. So there's a lot of good reasons and good scenarios to advertise using pay-per-click during a pandemic.
So I think, and I just thought of this while you were talking, more than ever, people, not more than ever, but a lot more people are probably searching for how to bake a cake or how to do whatever. My wife is actually making homemade ice cream because our local dairy doesn't make the strawberry right now that she wants. So she's just going to make it herself. She bought a used ice cream maker, and she's searching for recipes. And if you, I guess, sold some of those ingredients, it'd be a great time to have those pay-per-click ads where, a lot of people, I don't think they realize what the power of the pay-per-click ads are if they don't do it, or if they're just trying to bump through it themselves. And then you mentioned something else. So that's the front end, getting people to find you. Then if they see a pay-per-click advertisement and then later they see something else somewhere, whether it's a podcast, social media post or something, it's that brand recognition. Oh, I think I saw an ad about them earlier or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's good. It helps drive more business recognition, and people are searching more right now, especially on their mobile device.
absolutely. I would say, to take your ice cream example, if you're someone that sells the rock salt that goes in the ice cream, to get it frozen down, or the ice cream maker, or churning, or any of those things, that you're not leveraging kind of that aspect of as part of a marketing tactic, you're really missing out on some things that could lead to enormous volumes of sales, especially after we exit this pandemic. Those that are in market now that are being appealed to by brands are going to be remembered post-pandemic, most likely, because so much budget has exited, so much budget has left the major advertising platforms. It's it's a great time. It's a great time to do that, to remember, to help your prospects remember who you are,
Right.
especially if it's got something to do with cooking at home, or home maintenance, home cleaning, kind of anything related to kind of
Right.
around things in the home can really be a great source of revenue if you decide you want to compete for those keywords.
Right. And
And
I would say the consulting services. Yeah. And I know if you have any questions about anything PPC or even marketing related, we'll try to tackle it. Drop that in the comments and we'll help you out. It'd be great to hear what kind of questions you have around marketing in general during a pandemic. But most importantly, we're talking about pay-per-click advertising today and why it's important and why you need to still do it or get into it now, because it's a great way to get those search clicks, right? People are searching for so many more things now because they're bored, right? Or they want to know something, they want to better their skills, or they want somebody to help them. Well, what do I do with my kids when I'm on a Zoom call, right? Should I wear shoes if I'm on a Zoom call? And I can tell you if I'm wearing shoes or not. Pay-per-click advertising is a way to build an audience, get attention, and hopefully close a deal. What are some of the things like low-hanging fruit to look at? And let's look at both sides. Maybe one side will be if you're currently doing pay-per-click, what should you be doing and looking at now? Because you might want to look at what you're currently doing and make some changes. Then if you want to get started, what are the first things I should be doing?
Yeah. So if you're just starting out and you've not done this before, you probably want to set things up a little more broadly to see what catches fire. And this is kind of what I do with new clients. There's ways to set things up so these keywords apply a little bit more broadly with still a great deal of definition. And what happens is that over time we learn very quickly what keywords trigger the best outcomes, and we just ratchet down on those. Now, on the other side of it, if you've already been in it a while, make sure you're revising your ad copy regularly. It's a good time to double check that the conversions you had set up are still registering and working. If you don't have a consistent stream of conversions, it's something to check. So one of the things that happens when we set you up with Google Ads is we link in Google Analytics and we figure out kind of what's most important to bringing you business, and we drive paid traffic toward those goals. And that's kind of the other thing is that look at this as part of your overall marketing mix. Look at this as a way to drive not only current conversions, but recapture these for retargeting for reminder campaigns later down the line. It's really great. It's something that's always evolving. You want to definitely check on your use of what's called Google Ads extensions. Google Ads extensions add optional information to your ad that allow you to kind of really build out kind of the vertical space on the screen of what your ad occupies. And because you might see in some ads that you see, there has been like a street location or reviews included or prices or other things like that. These are typically review extensions that are added as optional features that tend to increase click-through rate. So make sure you're using all of the ad extensions that are applicable. Look for innovative ways to use the pricing extension, for example. We launched a client recently for the pandemic, and they make social distancing floor decals. And one of the things we did for this client was we set them up with a pricing extension. What the pricing extension does, it allows you to show the cost per unit for a given item. I think the most creative way I saw it used was somebody was advertising jobs and using the pricing extension to show starting salary. So there's a lot of ways that you can creatively use the existing pieces of Google Ads, and certainly revising your ads and testing your ads constantly is a lot of that. Just because your ad worked good for this last quarter doesn't mean that people aren't tired of seeing it, and maybe testing a couple other ads against it wouldn't be a bad idea to see if you could get better results.
You can actually tell how your ads are performing and maybe take your lowest performing ad, pause it, and try something new to see if it helps drive up. And that actually helps reduce how much you're paying, if I'm knowing that correctly, right?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things that go into kind of your cost per click. And ultimately, a quality score kind of gives you a snapshot of that. And the quality score looks at a number of things. It looks at your keywords and your ads and how they incite people to click, but it also looks at the post-click and kind of how good is the page that you're sending people to. If they bounce from it frequently, if it's a slow responding website, ultimately you wind up paying more in your cost per click bid because your competitor does a better job.
Right. Just this morning, I was talking to some folks at iContact, and we're talking about getting people to do more automation and use landing pages. And so some advanced features where, sometimes you have to pay a little bit more for something like that. And I said, what we should be doing is talking to clients and saying, where else are you marketing? And if you're doing, say you're spending $1,000 on pay-per-click, but you're not really managing it right, and you're paying $3 a click for something that should be 25 cents or something. I know it's outrageous. And then you're spending $100 a month on email marketing. But if you spend a little bit more and spend a little bit less on the actual leads that you get, and you tweak what's going on over there, then you follow up with them using automation, you'll actually convert more because you're getting the attention through the ad, and you're getting better quality customers because you're testing your ads and you have good ads running. You're spending less. Yeah. Then drop them to an automation sequence to nurture them over time, because not everybody's going to be ready to buy as soon as you hit them with that ad, unless you're like me on Instagram, right? I need that, right? But,
I know.
Right away. Or you, maybe it's something.
I just saw an ad for the pandemic key on Instagram today. It said, "Not made in China, made right here." And they were walking you through the factory floor, and they said, "We're packing them now, we're shipping them now, and buy them now." And I thought that was a great concept. But you have a good point. To an extent, once you can zero in on that cost per lead or that cost per transaction, you can really shift your budget around a little bit towards other things that kind of bolster your position. So I was just talking with a company this week in the real estate space, and you would think, gosh, this must be such a horrible time to run ads for a real estate company. And I was like, no. I was like, there is no better time, because your cost per lead is so much cheaper right now than 3 months ago. And if you're really smart, if you decide that instead of trying to convert them to buy a house or lease a property tomorrow, but instead sign them up with a lead magnet about, home staging during a pandemic, or, commercial real estate forecast, or the results of a market research we did during this COVID epidemic in commercial restaurant real estate. And then you have them on your list. You have them on one of your most valuable assets, your email list. And then you can send them messages, campaigns after campaigns over time. You keep them informed in what your company's doing. When they're finally ready to pull that trigger and buy that house or lease that new restaurant, they're going to think of you first, because you worked very hard to provide them with value, not trying to convert them on the first click, but you provided them with value, with valuable information that informed them, that made them aware of your expertise. And it all started with a pay-per-click ad.
That was technical error on my side. I said people want to do business with folks that they know, like, and trust, or companies that they know, like, and trust. And developing that relationship by getting the eyeballs to the advertisement, whether it is pay-per-click, social media, then nurturing them through email builds that. There's so many people doing home projects right now because of the pandemic, and Home Depot and Lowe's are still open. Putting out information about what you could do now to increase your house's worth for when you do want to sell would be something to do. I was thinking of something while you were talking. There's a lot of companies that either are out of business or going out of business. You can use pay-per-click advertising to go after that business as well and pick up some more business, right? Because if there's less competitors, there's more consumers looking for companies like you.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's, Home Depot or any of the real estate sites really have these great opportunities. And I will say, Zillow does a great job in their email nurturing about, top things that you should do and they target you by the age of your home dynamically. They say your 16-year-old home probably could use one of these projects. Connect with our local pros. Or if you want to do it yourself, here's some resources. And they continue to nurture people that are out of market, but that could be back in market anytime. It's gardening. It's cooking at home. It's, grilling and barbecuing. People are looking for information in that niche as well. And they're looking for all the things to help them do it better. The tools, the techniques, the supplies, these are all things that you can target by keyword, get them to your website, connect them with that product listing, and give them the opportunity to buy it right then and ship to their door in a contactless way, which is so in vogue right now. And it's so pertinent. Yeah.
So Rob,
trying to sell your season holder baseball tickets probably isn't the best move. Football tickets is probably a bit of a stretch, especially if it's just for the current season, since there's a lot of doubt around whether these kinds of things are going to happen. Or, NASCAR was just announced. It's going to happen. Really? There's not going to be any audience in the stands. So what can NASCAR do? Well, NASCAR can sell premium subscriptions to private broadcasts, to kind of niche kind of interviews, to, I don't know, they have a cable network or start their own live streaming, internet streaming, get the audio of your favorite driver in your ear. I know that's something they can do at the stadium, extending those things out so that they bring their fans closer. They definitely have some interesting things to manage as they move forward with these kind of fanless experiences. Major concerts have been canceled. Ticket sales are way off. We don't know when or if those are coming back. But
right.
If you have some PPE equipment to sell, we can certainly get it sold for you very fast. Face masks in stock, ready to ship today. And you'll be sold out in a couple of hours. I was sad to see the media for the mask that I have is still sold out. The media, the filters are sold out.
Wow.
I don't even care about the masks. I just want some replacement media. I guess when I bought my stuff in March, I should have bought a little bit more.
Well, I think you hit on something talking about NASCAR, because they're not going to sell seats. They're not going to sell tickets. They're not going to make as much money. What it really comes down to is being relevant. And when they do come back full time, they want people to remember that they're still around, and things are going to be the same. There's a trampoline park in Raleigh that decided to do a stream. They brought in a DJ and professional bouncers, and they were going to stream it. And they're not charging anything, but they just want to let you know they're still there. They're still going to be around. When we can come back. But we want to entertain you and have our name in front of your mind down the road, and just remember us. And there's ways to do that. And so that leads me to this. If somebody's new to pay-per-click advertising, maybe somebody does a little bit of social media and they do email marketing, but they've never done PPC. If they came to you and said, hey, I need to start doing some pay-per-click advertising because I saw you on Hang with Hank, and I want to get started. What kind of budget should somebody, I know it's going to be different for everybody, but theoretically, what is like an average budget, like spending per month, say, on pay-per-click if I was just getting started?
Yeah, we do better as you approach $1,000 a month minimum for a small business. We just do better. What happens when we get these tighter budgets is that your money doesn't go as far. It's consumed faster, and it doesn't last the month. Ideally, you want to get to a point where you have a budget that lasts the entire month for keywords that have significant impact for your business, whether they're adding subscribers to your email list, whether they're buying stuff now, adding things to a wish list, downloading white papers, whatever it might be, these, or making donations. All of these things are worthwhile business outcomes, that some of which lead to more business down the line or higher consideration down the line. And really, if we started with like $500 a month plus our management fee, that really puts you kind of maybe getting halfway through the month, depending on the competition and the cost of the keywords. And that doesn't do anybody any good at all. And that's really what it's about. It's not that we want you to spend $10,000 a month, only if it makes sense, only if it has good ROI, it has a positive impact on your business. Do we want to get you to $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 in monthly spend with Google Ads? We scale up as we find things that make sense. It's only fair to the business owner, and it certainly we look to be good stewards of your budget and your resources that you trust with us. We don't spend it frivolously. We know what it takes to earn that dollar, and we want to help you multiply that dollar. So
it's important to know the mechanics of how ads work. I worked with somebody that wanted a low budget, and it was like $20 a day, was the budget that we set for the daily. And I got a phone call. Hey, my friend said my ads aren't showing up. They specifically search for keywords that it should come up. Mm-hmm. And I looked, and they blew through that $20 earlier in the day, and it wasn't. And I said, your ads aren't showing because you can't pay them because your budget's too low. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that's how it works. I thought I just pay, and my ads always show up, and then I automatically get business or something. It's kind of what I think, but it is a pay for play opportunity. Yeah. And you hit on something that's important, is you got to set them up right. You can't just go in and just create some crazy weird ad and think it's going to convert. Test different things out, and hopefully, as long as you're making money and spending the money, then you gradually, I guess you do gradually go up. In other words, if I had an ad and I was spending $1,000 and I made a lot of money, I wouldn't want to. There's a reason why I wouldn't want to go and automatically throw $10,000 at it, right?
Well, the algorithm, if it 10x your results, I mean, I don't see why not, right? I mean, if we could definitely tie, this ad and this keyword to this sale, we would definitely double down on that and iterate kind of the copy of the ad for sure. But when we find winners, we dial it in really fast. But honestly, it takes about 6 months to get it tuned well and performing well.
Wow.
At the first 90 days it's a lot of work and it's a lot of testing. And not that we don't get results in the first 90 days, because a lot of times we do. But what we find is our ability to tune it and see good results only improves when we have more time to work with you on it. Right. And then we get into some other things. And I took a look at, like I said, there was this real estate client, and we talk about ad setup, right? Well, they whoever was managing it just managed it around this one set of keywords. Well, it turns out that their commercial real estate, not only do they do commercial real estate, but the state that they operate in, they're able to sell the liquor license from a bar. So they should really be advertising, liquor licenses for sale. They should be able to sports bar for sale or lease, and not just the state that they're in as part of the keyword for the leasing and for the property sales that they do. So there's always something to tweak. There's always something to change. There's always something new to learn about a client, and it's really some of the most fascinating work that I get to do.
So if I really heard you correctly, what you're saying is that it takes time to really get it to be a lean, mean lead generation machine. Not saying you can't get quick wins early on, but I think, pretty soon things are going to go back to normal. That could be 90 days from now, it could be a little bit longer. But if you start doing all these things now, making tweaks or just getting started, you are going to outpace your competitors when things get better. If they say, well, now I'm going to get started, right? Because you've already gotten started, worked out all the kinks, tweaked everything you need to tweak, tested everything that you need, not everything, but tested some things, versus somebody that's just getting started. You'll have that upper hand, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing is that you're actually rewarded by Google Ads the longer you're in the system, because you become more of a known quantity to their system. They know what to expect from you. They don't have to there's some studies to say that the longer you're in there, the more pertinent and qualified you are to the system, so that you tend to get slightly better ad scores for being in there longer. And if you are suddenly pulling out and pulling away, it's really a lot harder to come back and get that position that you were in before. You eventually do re-earn that position. It's a lot harder than if you just stayed in, even at a reduced spend.
And folks, keep in mind, you can do this on your own, and Google will offer help. They have great help articles. Somebody will reach out and say, hey, do you need help? Because they want your money, right? They want you to spend on ads. They'll reach out to you. They'll give you help. But really, if you want to get started right, it's worth talking to someone, having a conversation, or hiring somebody to help you. Because to me, I think Google Ads is one way, or a pitfall, where you can spend a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing and not see any results. It's easy to not look at things. I worked with a company that only did business locally. And even though if you go in and set up, I only want to show ads in this area, there's like this other setting that you have to change too, because it can still show outside your area. I forgot what that is. You probably know what it is more than I do. But they were spending money thinking they were advertising locally, but still people from China, India, and Germany were still clicking on their links because they were seeing it.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point. When I've talked with those that have done it themselves for a while, and I look at their account, there's a few really kind of common mistakes that I see. They're not using what's called targeting really that well. And so there's different things you can do to the keywords when you set them up to target them, so that they don't show more broadly versus they show more broadly. And there are cases where you want want that keyword to show more broadly, or you want it to show less broadly. And it's all in the way that you type those keywords into the keyword field. And there's certain punctuation that's used to tell it to only search for this exact phrase versus match anything in this phrase versus match any word plus other words in this phrase. And so this is exact match, phrase match, and broad match.
I learned that a couple of years ago myself. I'm not impressed that I learned it.
Right. And it can be tricky. Like, you could literally blow your budget the first day you start your ads if you set it up too broadly. And that's what we see. We see, I kept advertising. I spent hundreds of dollars of work, and I spent thousands of dollars in a month, and I got nothing for it.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I spent $1,000 and I got nothing for it. And I'll look at the ad setup, and I'll be like, well, you do realize that this keyword that you use, the way you have it targeted, it would show for anything that included that word. Anything and everything that included that word. And so, yeah, your budget was spent enormously fast.
Yeah, like a friend of mine's in the rigging industry. So rigging, like rigging cranes, and then there's rigging of elections, and there's crane, which is a type of a bird and a type of a machine.
And then there's rigging of lights.
Right. It's crazy. And
rigging of elections, yeah.
Found out you can inject the actual keyword into the ad, like when they see it. I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, you can. And that's another way we experiment with dynamic keyword insertion. There's a certain way that you can include a certain type of punctuation and some words so that the keyword that the user searches shows up in the ad. And
right.
What's interesting about that is that whenever there's a partial or full keyword match, Google highlights those words in those ads, just like it does in the search results. Mm-hmm. And so it's a great way to experiment and draw some attention to ads.
Right.
It doesn't work across the board. It doesn't always work, but it's certainly one of the ways that we test ads.
Right. We have the softest toilet paper. Inject that in there,
right? Softest toilet paper. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
What else do you think we should talk about when we say we should be using pay-per-click during a pandemic? Anything else come to mind? Because you're the expert.
Yeah. So the other thing is there's more than one PPC platform, and a lot of people don't realize it or forget about it. A lot of attention is given to Google because they have the lion's share of search market.
Right.
But Microsoft on Bing has a PPC platform as well. So, going back to this floor decal client / project I'm involved with, we noticed a lot of organic conversion from Bing. Of all the search engines on Bing, a very large order came through Bing organic. And that really indicated to me that we need to advertise on Bing, mm-hmm. because maybe more of that demographic is there. Certainly if you use some reasoning, especially if you're selling marketing B2B, and you're selling or marketing B2B, and it's a little bit older, think about corporate setups of computers, what the default search engine is, and how some corporate users in different departments may or may not change that default search engine, might not be allowed to change that search engine. So when you get some idea about who it is that's converting and where they're converting from, it's definitely not a bad idea to spread around your budget amongst the major PPC platforms, and that's Google and Bing. And it's even worthwhile kind of experimenting and seeing if there's some third-party marketplaces to participate in. It's always interesting once you start up. You just never know where you're going to see these conversions come from, and what you think about at first, what you presume who your client is at first, may not be who ultimately it is that winds up buying from you. So it's always interesting.
And a pro tip is Bing has a tool where you can actually pull in your Google AdWords, or your Google Ads are called now, Google Ads, into Bing without having to recreate them,
Absolutely. Yep, they sure do. It'll pull in your ads and your keywords. The only thing about Bing ads is you'll have to set up a separate conversion tag so that you know if the Bing ads are working. So if you have Google Tag Manager, just drop that in there, no problem, set it up, and then wait for it to validate. It's, and so Bing has gone a long way to kind of removing a lot of the static in getting you on their platform, because they realize kind of Google Ads has the lion's share of the market. Well, we'll just import, and that imports can save you a lot of time, especially if you have something that's working really well. Working the reverse, it doesn't work like that. If you find something new in Bing and you want to move it to Google Ads, that's definitely a manual move. It doesn't go both ways like that.
So a question would be, let's say you moved everything over from Google and then you made changes in Google. Is it easy just to update the ones that are in Bing through that same tool? Do you just re-import them?
Yeah, you can re-import them. It'll find the changes and apply them. If you've made manual changes to your stuff on Bing, it might override those changes. So you have to think about, what you want to do and where you want to do it and what your workflow might be. There are also these great scripts that you can plug into Google Ads that are free, that do various audits and checks. And there's tons of them out there. You just look for Google Ads scripts. You load them up. The great thing about it is you can run them in test mode first before you execute them on your account.
Good to know.
It'll show you, how many changes occurred and what the changes were that occurred, so you can understand whether you want to apply that to those accounts, to that account or not. And then you can execute it. And it's, in a lot of ways, it can save you some time.
Cool. That's a lot of great information. And, I think we did answer the question, should you be using pay-per-click during a pandemic? And I don't know, it's like, it matters, but yes, I think so. I think it's a great way to keep brand recognition, start building a relationship, growing your email marketing list, which I'm a big champion of. And there are people out there that can help you if you need help. If you guys have any questions, drop them into the chat there. We definitely want to answer your questions if you have any, or at least let us know where you're from. I see a couple folks are listening to us live right now. Let us know where you're from. Love to give you a shout out, and I'm glad you tuned in today. But Rob, other than pay-per-click, what do you think are some other platforms that people should be using to advertise?
Yeah, I mean, can't miss on retargeting, like website retargeting of all kinds. So there's like retargeting from your website to Facebook. There's retargeting on the web. There's retargeting from AdWords searches. Retargeting is kind of that next level tactic where you take kind of that existing paid click that you have and you leverage it with some additional budget in a way that can still benefit you. It's kind of a really valuable secondary tactic to kind of re-show your ad to those that have already engaged with you. And it gives you kind of that second shot at a conversion or a purchase. And so I would say allocating some budget to that is really, really valuable. And, if depending on your niche, it might make sense to advertise on LinkedIn. LinkedIn costs per click tend to be pretty high. I do like it though, because there's a lot of intelligence around targeting by job description, which you can get on Facebook if you're advertising on Facebook, but you can't get that in Google Ads. You can't get job description targeting in Google Ads. So the kind of, to make up for that gap, retarget from Google Ads those that convert. That's kind of the substitute, or those that made it to this step in your lead nurturing process. You retarget to those, you have a higher probability of them coming back and clicking through and completing the next step in the funnel, or making a purchase, or making that appointment.
I think sometimes having a bigger budget for your retargeting can be helpful, especially certain industries or certain situations. When you get that lead, you want to follow them around whenever they go around the internet. But I think things are going to start changing down the road. I know Google's making some changes, but third-party cookies are making changes. And I think it's got a lot of people freaked out, but I don't think we really know what that means right now. And I know, Apple's going to start stopping a lot of the advertising that comes across on your mobile device, on your iPad or on a Mac. But there's going to be ways, and Google's always going to stay forefront, especially if you're on their platform. If you're on Google and you're searching, that it means those ads will still show. Therefore, it is worth spending on pay-per-click advertising, especially at least with Google.
Yeah. This cookie thing kind of generally shakes it up a little bit. Google has really shown that they say that they want to protect a user's privacy, and they've been very congruent in at least to the marketer, showing that that's what they're interested in doing. They kind of, one of the first things they did was that they took away kind of the full referral in Google Analytics for those that were logged into Google products. So that was the rise of not set, no information in Google Analytics. Then we saw them kind of move into cookies and get really specific about what information they were allowing. We see it when we want to do matchups with affinity audiences, that they're very protective about anonymizing kind of the user information that comes across from Google, and how it's matched up and how it's used. And so they've been very consistent about maintaining what their version of kind of user protections and user privacy.
Awesome. Well, tell us how we can get in touch with you if we wanted to either learn more or maybe get some help with ads.
Absolutely. So our website, www.whypeopleclick.com. We're on social media, on Facebook at whypeopleclick. And you can call us at 336-303-1834. That's our phone number. I'm happy to pick it up and talk with you. Hop on our website. We have some free resources, one of which is a free local SEO audit, no cost to you. It's like $100 value that we've been able to automate for you, so you know something about something that's happening with your local SEO. And then we have on there kind of the opportunity, you can book an appointment with me to kind of go over your strategy if you want to. 30 minutes free.
Take advantage of the free resources and then see where that can go. If you're not doing anything, it's always good to learn why you should be, and if your website's performing at its best. And maybe if you are doing it on your own and you need help, or maybe you're using somebody you're not happy with, it's always good to try an alternative solution. But the answer we gave today is yes, you should be using pay-per-click advertising, because it's a great way to attract an audience, to hopefully convert an audience and grow your email marketing list, maybe your social media. What you want to do is start building those relationships now while we are self-isolating. And then once we come out of it, you're going to be set up for success, because you will have that audience, whether it's just on the internet, on your social channels, or on email marketing. And Rob, I look forward to the next time that we can get together, whether it's around a grill and eating good food, at a conference, or maybe just meeting up and having coffee, because we live probably about 45 minutes from each other.
Yeah, that'd be really great.
All right.
Appreciate being on your show.
Yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to him, reach out to me. If I can't answer it, Rob can, but we definitely want to help you out. And that's it for Hang with Hank. I do not have another session set up yet, but I'm looking for someone that can come on and provide some value. But Rob, thank you for spending some time with me today. And folks, that does it. We'll catch you next time.